Every big win starts long before game day. On any given Monday, we go where cameras don't. Behind the contracts, the calls, and the chaos. We'll road trip with scouts, visit iconic campuses, step inside replay booths, and walk up to the luxury suites. Real organizations, real stories, real decisions. Lace up your cleats, buckle your chin strap. Here comes our GM, Matthew Miley.
Today on Any Given Monday, our guest tonight is Miami of Florida head women's basketball coach, Tricia Cullop. And I made sure, I have Miami Jimmy Butler jersey on because I'm not going to say the name of the company, but this brown truck, kind of yellow too. We ordered our shirts and they said they were going to come today, but they didn't. But it's okay. It's okay. So Coach is a native of Bicknell, Indiana. She was a team captain for the Purdue Boilermakers and a 3-time academic All-Big Ten selection. Coach will pass 500 career wins this season. She has 12 postseason appearances, winningest coach in Toledo history, 2008 Missouri Valley Coach of the Year, and was inducted into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. And I have a little story. So back in March of 2023, when Toledo was about to play Iowa State in the first round, I was in Fremont, Ohio, celebrating my grandma's birthday. And I remember it was right after Mass, the game started. So me and my dad sprinted down to the 818, which was a local restaurant there. Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely packed. And every man, woman, and child in there was going crazy when you guys eventually took down the Cyclones in the first round. It was awesome. It was awesome.
It's a great memory.
And you built that fan base as a coach. So tell me, Coach, how did you first fall in love with basketball? And what about the game of basketball has not changed for you?
I think I first fell in love with it because my dad spent a lot of time with me out in the backyard, and that was the way we bonded. He had a really passion for the game. He had played growing up, and he kind of passed that on to me. And we watched a lot of basketball games together. And, it's just something that when you grow up in Indiana, I almost feel like you have no choice. But the game has just given back to me tenfold, and I'm really, really happy to still be in it.
Mm-hmm. So, Coach, you played at Purdue and have led successful programs from Evansville to Toledo, and now you're taking on the ACC spotlight at Miami. When that opportunity came, what made you say yes? And can you take us behind the scenes somehow on how that process even played out?
Sure. I will tell you it was a difficult decision. I loved my job I had. Mm-hmm. In fact, I could have easily seen myself retiring there. But I always told myself that it would have to take something very special to take me away. And when we were in the WBIT getting ready to play Washington State, I got a call from a search firm just saying, would you be interested in Miami? And I started doing my homework. And, as I kind of delve into it, it's like private education, incredible education at Miami. You've got a beautiful campus. You've got the ACC, which has produced not only lots of WNBA players, but also a lot of great student athletes. Then you've got incredible location. And then the previous coaches had established a really strong winning tradition. So everywhere I looked, I kept trying to find something that would make me say, well, this isn't for me. And instead, it was like, I can't say no to this if they offer it. And so I came down campus, did an on-campus interview, and shortly after returning to campus, they offered me the job. And it was tough. I was so excited about it because part of me has always wanted to coach at this level. But then part of me was sad because I had spent 16 years at Toledo and developed a lot of great friendships. But, my friendships there will remain. Yeah. And this is a great opportunity to test the waters at this level. And it's been a lot of fun so far.
And as you mentioned, you transferred Miami's in ACC, very, very big Power 5 conference. So what was your biggest welcome to the Power 5 moment so far?
I think when I was recruiting and I found out exactly the level of money it takes to sign a top 10 player in the country. Mm-hmm. It's eye-opening when you're used to a different level.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you built Toledo into one of the nation's top mid-major programs, both on the court and academically. What parts of that foundation travel well with you to a Power Five conference like the ACC?
All of it. I don't want to change who I am or what I stand for because I'm at Miami now. In fact, it just means that it means even more to me. We've always been really entrenched in strong character kids and strong character staff members, and that doesn't change no matter where I am. I think, I want staff members that embody the same type of character and beliefs and just foundation that inspire me daily. It doesn't mean we all think the same. In fact, I like when a staff has different ideas so that we can be better. But I still think it all starts with people. You have
Mhm.
to recruit great people, you have to hire great people. And if you're really intentional about that, the job becomes a lot easier and more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so for me, it starts with that. I've got to consistently surround myself with people who challenge me, inspire me, and make me better, get me out of my comfort zone. But I also want players that want to be great and are going to push themselves every day.
Yep. And now it's really no secret that the college game is completely changed than what it has been even 5 years ago. You got
Hmm.
realignment, NIL, transfer portal.
Hmm.
What does building a program really mean now? And could you maybe take us and tell us a little bit about Miami's roster situation when you
Hmm.
came in last year and how you've navigated that?
Yeah. It was very difficult when I took the job. I I inherited three players that were returning. Two were coming back from ACL recoveries, so they weren't going to be available right away. And then three freshmen that signed and luckily stayed. So I started with six and had I think nine official visits in 1 month. An official visit takes 48 hours.
Hmm.
And I hired seven people in that same month, bought a house, sold a house, and moved here. So you can only imagine how busy that first month and a half was.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's just when you're building a team in this kind of environment, relationships, building strong relationships with people matters. But I think that's so important that you continue to find people who align with what you believe, and that's that they're going to work hard every day. They value an education. They're a great teammate, great leader, and that they're coachable and they're excited to be here for a great education.
Hmm.
If I continue to recruit those type of things, my staff will enjoy coming to work every day. My players will enjoy being around each other because we do tell our players, I hope I'm signing players that'll be lifetime friends for you because we've tried to find people who are like-minded as far as values. And
Yep.
when you start there and build up, something magical can happen. But the first thing that always catches your eye is athleticism. How can they help you win? But then you've got to dive deeper if you want to build something substantial.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you look back, what were the hallmarks of a successful Toledo culture? And what are you most intent on preserving while at Miami?
When I was at Toledo, I always called it blue collar gold standard, meaning we were going to roll up our sleeves and do all the dirty work, meaning take charges, dive on loose balls, get rebounds,
Mhm.
do all the things, make our free throws, not turn it over, do all the things that no one wanted to do that help you win. And then, we were always aspiring for the top level of gratification. We wanted to be the best team academically. We wanted to be the best team on the floor. We wanted to have a classy program, and that's where the gold standard, and we wanted to do it the right way. We wanted people to respect our program
Yeah.
because of how we carried ourselves, humble in a victory and definitely, hungry on a loss, but humble enough to take it and learn from
Mhm.
it. And then again, humble in a win, so that we're continually trying to get better. But I think the things I'm taking with me, I think the other phrases that matter to me are invest, improve, inspire. We want everyone to invest their time and energy and talents to get better. Um, if they're investing wisely, they will show improvement. And we want to
Yeah.
show that numerically. We want to be able to show a kid a stat sheet from week 1 to week 5 and say, wow, look at how much better you've gotten. And then the last thing is as you master those skills and you're starting to really understand our program and how to do things, that you inspire the younger players to do the same.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a cyclical pattern, but we really want our players to understand that nothing comes easy. You've
Yeah.
got to roll up your sleeves and work hard every day to achieve anything.
Yeah. That's great. That's great stuff. And so now when you look at your Miami team, what are you most excited about come tip off this year?
Well, last season was a great motivator to be out recruiting. We did a great job in non-conference. We only lost one game, but when we got into conference play, injuries and probably lack of depth on our roster really hurt us. The
Hmm.
league's athletic, it's big, it's tall, it's fast. So we went out and this past year, we only returned two players. We went out to sign bigger, faster, stronger, and we did that. Our staff worked our tail off. We signed the 10th best high school recruiting class in the country by ESPN,
Wow.
and then the 13th best portal class in the country. And so I'm excited because we have size. I have a starting center who's 6'6", who
Mhm.
was the starting center of Florida. I have a four player who led the ACC in rebounding from SMU, Jess Peterson. I've got a guard from UNLV who can score at all three levels and is probably one of the most efficient scorers in the nation. She shot about 50% from the field, 40% from the three,
Wow.
around 80% for the free throw line. That's a coach's dream.
Hmm.
And then Victoria Blasai from USF is a kid that was part of a South Florida team that beat Duke and took Louisville to the wire and scrimmaged us. So she really played three ACC teams. She's a tremendous shooter, just tough-nosed kid. And I think when you blend that top 10 recruiting class and that portal class we just talked about, and I didn't even mention Gal Raviv, who will most likely start at the point for us a lot of this season. She's so talented. She started for Israel's FIBA team, the
Hmm.
U19 team, and set a scoring record, not for this year, for the history of the tournament.
Wow.
She can
Wow.
flat out score. She was at Quinnipiac last year and was the player of the year and freshman of the year of the league. And we're so glad she's at Miami because she embodies everything we look for in a player.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's jump over to the role of college athletics in higher education.
Mhm.
So you spent your career in higher education, and in your view, what is college athletics supposed to do for a university and for its students?
Well, I think college athletics is your best advertiser and marketer for the university. If you think about all the homes and TV sets and radio stations and newspapers that all the athletic teams of a university are constantly in for free, they're not buying that advertisement. They're in it because they're generating stories,
Hmm.
social media, all those clicks that all the athletic teams are getting. They're kind of like your front door, if you want to say it, to the university. They're how a lot of people find out about your university. When College Game Day was on Miami's campus, the amount of clicks and likes and retweets were amazing. And that draws a lot of attention to admissions,
Hmm.
people wanting to check out our campus. And we were very intentional on campus of where game day was set up, with the lake in the background, with boats in the water, with sunny atmosphere. It was a beautiful day. We couldn't control that, but it was a beautiful day that day. And then it was fun that one of the members of game day climbed up on our
Oh yeah.
diving swim pool next to where they were set up and dove in. I mean, not many college campuses have that kind of setup with the palm trees and all of that. So I think college athletics is kind of that front door and can help attract student athletes to a university in a way that no other marketing group can.
Hmm.
And so I think we're a great partner to the university. We're a way to get people excited to bond together and cheer for something together. And we do that with all of our sports teams. And then in turn, I think what we do for the university is hopefully bring in quality students that can
Hmm.
help bolster the GPAs and really be great ambassadors when they graduate of the university. So I think it's a great partnership.
Yeah. And now in the modern world, some people say that we've lost our way and athletics is drifting too far away from academics and education. What's your perspective on that?
I'm glad players can finally make money on name, image, likeness, and even through rev share. I've coached a number of players through the years that maybe came from a background where they couldn't go out to eat. They didn't have a car. They couldn't explore outside of campus and have that normal college experience that maybe other players had because they didn't come from a background that could economically support it. Now, you and I read about stories where people are making 5 million, 6 million to play a
Yeah.
sport. Are some of those numbers out of whack? Well, if people are willing to pay them, that's their market value. So I think if coaches want to change that, then they shouldn't pay those numbers. But I think in women's basketball, we're not seeing that number. We are seeing higher and higher numbers as the years go on.
Hmm.
But in my opinion, you know, our players don't have a chance because basketball is their full-time job. They don't have a chance to go out and earn money any other way. So if we can help supplement them while they're in college, great. Where I worry is the number that they're making in college when they go get that first job, when they stop playing their sport. So if they do go pro and let's say the ball stops bouncing, and they go take that first job, they might be a little alarmed at what their first paycheck is
Hmm.
because it might be less than what they make at this level, depending on what caliber player they are.
Yeah.
So I think there might be an eye-opening experience where I had to climb the ladder. My first coaching job, I made 8,000 and it went from there. Some of these players are making six figures. And so it's going to be a little bit of adjustment when they go out into the real world if they're not able to get that same salary.
Yeah. Yeah. And how can a university support athletics without losing its academic soul? And how can athletics support the broader educational mission?
Well, I think universities have to be careful not to overextend themselves. I think what people don't understand is that when the NCAA comes out and says, years ago, hey, there's Alston money, you can pay for academic needs of student athletes. They didn't say to each university, hey, here's a pot of cash so that you can do this. They just said you can do it. So universities had to dig down deep, cut budgets, find ways to explore that. Well, now with rev share, it's the same. It's not
Mhm.
like they're giving a bunch of money to do this. Universities are having to tighten their belts, fundraise, and generate this cash in ways they've never done before. And so, I think that's where it's difficult. But I think everybody being realistic about what they can budget and do realistically is important. But I also think college coaches have got to be good fundraisers as well. I think
Mhm.
we could be great partners with the university and help in that cause.
Yeah. And now jumping over to recruiting a little bit. When you're recruiting, and I assume, Miami recruits nationally,
Yeah.
what off the court qualities are you looking for in a potential prospect?
Well, again, and you're saying off the court, where I will tell you, first thing is, can they help us win?
Hmm.
And can they help us be in the top quarter of our league? That's where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
That means we're going to postseason no matter what. So that's the first litmus test. The next two things that are off the court would be attitude. Are they coachable? I watch how they treat their parents. I watch how they treat their teammates. I watch when they're having a bad game. Are they still a great teammate? Are they still a great leader? Or are they pouting and throwing a fit? I want to know emotional maturity levels because I think that plays into when the game gets rocky, when I coach them, how are they going to respond? They're not going to automatically change who they are. It doesn't mean they're perfect, but I want to know they're in a degree where I feel like I can help them and that they're mature enough to handle every situation.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is just academically, are they someone that's going to value this education? We have a private education that's worth $93,000 a year at Miami.
Hmm.
I want student athletes that appreciate that and don't take it for granted because we're also going to pair them up with a mentor in their field of study and help them explore their career field even further. And I really want them to value it and appreciate it and not take it for granted.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to the parents of some young girls out there aspiring to, go play some college basketball?
Yeah. I think important questions would be, you know, does that program play my child's style of play?
Hmm.
What kind of people am I surrounding my child with? Do I think those coaches are going to do a great job molding her and inspiring her and motivating her and helping her develop to be the best player she possibly can be? Because player development should be a big piece. And then also, do they care about her more than just a basketball player? Do they want her to be great academically? Are they going to help her find mentors? Are they going to help connect her? Years ago, I had an athletic director that said to me, "Hey, are you doing more than writing a letter of recommendation for your players when they graduate? I think you can do more." And
Hmm.
so we developed that mentoring program that I talked about. So our players go job shadow, they do internships, they go meet with a mentor and have lunch and talk about what that field really means and to make sure they want to do it, but then also to give them a reference when they graduate that will say, hey, you better hire them before I do.
Yeah.
Um, but I think all those things are important. What's the contract? How long is the coach's contract? Are they going to be there to coach my daughter? And then the other thing would be how many players are in my daughter's position? Is she going to get to play if that's
Yeah.
important? I think it's important. And then how many other players are they recruiting in her position? All those things are important when you go through the recruiting process.
Yeah. And now for all the young people watching, not just those going on to play in Division One, but what lessons from sports do you hope that they carry into their professional and civic lives?
I think that, all the details that go into winning or what in basketball are what it takes to win in life. Being on time, being mature, being accountable, being a great teammate, being a great leader. Um, I think work ethic. I hope all of our players take all those little things that it took to win basketball games and they're successful in life long after they graduate.
Hmm. Okay. So every great coach needs a great team off the court too.
Mhm.
What kind of support do you look for from your assistants and your staff? And what makes for a great athletic director in your view?
Okay. My staff is kind of divided up like a football staff. I have two people who do all of our defense. I
Hmm.
have two assistants that do most of our offense with me. I have one assistant that does all of our out of bounds plays. I have another assistant on my staff that takes care of a lot of the academics and reports to me.
Yep.
We kind of divide everything up and we conquer it together. So I want people who compliment me. I want people who get me out of my comfort zone, that don't say yes to me all the time because I'm not right all the time. So I want them to want to be great. I want them to study the game. I want them to go to coaches clinics. I want them to be challenging themselves to get better. If and I want them to be great people. I want them to be someone that when one of our players goes 0 for 12,
Hmm.
brings them into the office and shows them film of them making shots to get them motivated to do it again.
Yeah.
I want them to be great developers of talent. So there's a lot of qualities that go into being a great assistant. And then, great qualities of an athletic director, I think would be someone that is pretty calm, cool, and collected and understands that there's ebbs and flows of a season. Doesn't get too high over a win, doesn't get too high or low over a loss, that understands that, you know, especially for the head coaches, they're kind of out on a limb by themselves. There's a lot of fair weather fans in the United States. When teams are winning, man, you're the best coach in the nation. But man, when your team loses one or two games, it's over. So being the athletic director that supports your coach through thick and thin, that helps us see our blind spots and continues to motivate us to be the best we can be.
Yeah. And what are some of those unsung roles that make a program thrive?
I think one of the biggest one is like team travel. It doesn't seem like a big deal until it goes wrong.
Hmm.
So the person that books the flights, the person that books the meals, the person that is making sure that our bus is on time at the arena and is double checking all of the directions of how we get somewhere. You'd be surprised how many bus drivers don't know where they're going. It's shocking. I was on a bus one time from Toledo and we were on our way to Ohio and I fell asleep and I woke up and we were in Dayton. And no offense, but we shouldn't be going that far south. We should have cut through Columbus. I hardly ever fall asleep anymore for that reason. I'm always nervous we're going to go the wrong way. So I think paying attention to those kind of details, that helps everybody because I want our team rested, I want them well fed, and I want everything on time so that we can be ready for the next game.
Hmm. So you've led teams and also led peers as a WBCA president. What's your philosophy on developing future leaders in athletics?
Well, number one, I think I need to be a great model of I'm never done learning. But number two, giving back. One of the reasons I wanted to get into a leadership role in the WBCA was to give back. Our organization through the years has given me so much. I've learned a lot through going to conventions, through peers that this was my opportunity. I was on the board for about a decade, and then I got into the presidential track, which that means you're vice president for 2 years, president for 2 years, past president for 2 years. So you give up 6 years of your life when you want to go through that track. But it was 6 years that I feel very proud of, even though my years of president were during the pandemic, some of the most difficult times. But I think now what I like to do is pay it forward. So I'm actually mentoring a college coach right now who's a first year Division One coach. And I've done that in other years. But I try to inspire my staff to do the same thing because I think if we want our sport to be great, we need to continue to give back and pay it forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about Miami now.
Okay.
So Miami is one of America's most visible high profile markets.
Hmm.
What's it like to coach in a city where sports, celebrity, and social media has all come together and collide?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. One thing that's really fun about our practice facility is on any given day, you can meet some of the top professional athletes in the nation. Just 2 weeks ago, I walked through and met Klay Thompson.
Huh.
During the off season of the WNBA, you will see Asia Wilson because she dates Bam and she's in town. So what's neat for our players is the opportunity to go in and sit and watch one of those workouts and understand why they're so great. It's not that what you see when the lights are on, it's what they see when they're getting up at 7 in the morning to be in our gym to be great and work on all the fine details. And what our players find out is that those workouts are not much different than what we're putting them through. So
Yeah.
it reinforces what we're trying to do. But and it was fun when I first got there as well to walk past our men's camp and Eric Spolstra was sitting in the stands watching
That's
his kids.
awesome.
And it's somebody that I've thought a lot of for years. And so I walked over and sat and talked to him. And what's fun is when you meet someone like that and you find out that they're very genuine and they're just a wholesome, good person. And, so excited for him that he just got named the Olympic coach going forward. So it's fun for me to have a chance to peek in at some of these worlds and see that reaffirm some of the things we're doing, that we're doing the right job, but also to learn from all of these people, no matter the sport, so we can be better.
Yeah. And speaking on celebrities, the Miami women's basketball team last year had their own pair. So
Yeah.
what was it like having the Cavinder twins draw national attention to the team, and how did it help the program's visibility, and how did the twins decide to come back and play last year?
Well, first I'll start there. They wanted to come back because they wanted to play together. Originally, Haley was going to go to TCU and Hannah wasn't. Hannah was not going to play anymore. But as the time drew near, they discovered they didn't want to, you think about it, strong bond between twins, right?
Hmm.
And they had one more year to play and they couldn't imagine playing it away from each other. And so they asked me if I would take both of them back. And at the time, I needed players. But the great thing is they knew the Miami program because they had played a lot. They had been a part of the Sweet 16 run. I'm sorry, the Elite Eight run that had happened the 2 years before I got there. So they're two of the hardest workers I've ever been around. They were in our gym at 6:30 every morning working out. They were consistently in the weight room. They were very disciplined in what they ate. They did everything the right way to get the most out of their career they could possibly get. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. But as far as the celebrity piece, you know, I would just say I don't know how they handled the social media pressure that one can face when they're that much in the eyeballs of so many people in the nation. But the one thing I'll say is they were extremely gracious. Everywhere we went, there were lines waiting to get their autographs, to take their pictures, and not once did I see them say no.
Hmm.
So no matter if we lost or if we won, they were happy to meet, their fans and inspire some young kids. And I just took a lot from that as respect. I respect the job that they did and that they also were gracious enough to inspire other people.
Yeah. And how do you balance the opportunity NIL brings with the challenge of keeping players grounded and focused on team goals?
It's tough. I think all of us, if everybody in the nation was being realistic and honest, I think they would say it's a juggling act. We're all learning. But
Hmm.
I think it's so important. It goes back to the character and the values of the people that you sign. If money's the number one thing, that's rough, and it's going to be a tough time coaching that person. But if academics, if the people, if the place and the major that they have, if all that is important too, then I think you're recruiting the right kind of person. Now, you've got to be in the ballpark. If you're not even close, if I offered you, you know, $100,000, but the next school offered you $200,000, where would you go?
200
I think
grand.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the tough thing is being in the ballpark, but I don't think you always have to have as much, or, you can still get a kid if their priorities align with yours.
Yeah.
And I think it's being smart who you go after. Every place in the nation, funds are not unlimited. It makes us pickier of who we go after because their goals and their character and their values must align.
Yeah. And so anyone that's watched college football this year, they know that Miami is one of the top teams right now in the country. And so does their success on the gridiron help generate buzz across other sports on campus? And how do you have time to attend some of those home football games? Because, that Hard Rock Stadium is one of the best environments of college football.
It's amazing. Coach Cristobal has done an amazing job. When I first got here, he was very kind to me. I've enjoyed watching how he leads and how he inspires his team. And yes, I've been to games and I love it. The one unique thing about football for all the women's basketball coaches in the country and men's basketball too, is it provides a great entertainment opportunity for official visits. And so a lot of the home games, we've had recruits coming in for either unofficial or official visits. And it's
Mhm.
a great opportunity for them to be around the student body, to see what that environment is like. And Hard Rock is amazing. We've had some amazing sellouts, and even the first game against Notre Dame was a lot of fun to
Mhm.
watch. But the one thing I'll say is when Miami football is winning, which they do and they have, that's great for everybody on campus and even in this community, because that means a lot of people are buying tickets, a lot of people are buying apparel, a lot of people are excited about the University of Miami. That means people are watching online and wanting to attend Miami. There's so many good things that are happening because of that. And I think it helps all of us recruit.
Yeah. And what's something about coaching in Miami that a fan would never guess?
Well, I think one thing is that, you know, we I think the one thing I mentioned earlier is just it's a lot of fun watching a lot of different people come through our campus that I never dreamed I would have a chance to watch play and meet. That helped me get better because I watched their workouts. The other thing that I would tell you that's very different for me compared to being up north is that there's 248 sunny days here a year,
Hmm.
and I'm not used to that. I'm a Midwesterner,
Yeah.
and it's kind of
Yeah.
fun to walk out of the gym in December or January and I've got shorts on and I'm not running to find a coat.
Hmm.
So I've really enjoyed that.
Hmm.
But probably the unique thing would be most people don't know that we're a private school, and this education is really amazing. And when we talk to kids on the phone, that's the thing that they're probably most surprised about.
Yeah. Yeah. And now let's get a little reflective question here before we jump into the fun lightning round at the end.
Okay.
When people look back years from now, how do you want them to describe what you built in Miami, both on the scoreboard and beyond that?
Well, obviously we hope we win as much more than we lose and that we've taken teams to postseason. But I think more importantly, it's did we prepare our student athletes for their future?
Hmm.
And that's by teaching them lessons throughout the game of basketball, but also helping them with their career. If I wasn't doing that, I don't think I would have the purpose that I have and my why, and that's to help people with their future. And that's very meaningful to me. My mom was a teacher, and I think I got it honest that I love helping people.
Yeah. All right. Now let's jump into probably my favorite part of the shows is the lightning round.
Okay.
So do a little pregame fuel check. What was your go-to meal as a player?
Hmm. I loved mac and cheese growing
Hmm.
up. Yeah. It's one of my favorite things when I was in high school.
And now as a coach, is it the same mac and cheese or has a cuisine leveled up a little bit?
A little healthier these days. I'm spoiled here because we have a chef that cooks our pregame meals, and
Hmm.
so now it's more, it could be chicken and pasta or salad. It could be, salmon, but it's usually something a lot healthier than mac and cheese.
What's the funniest thing you've had to explain about Toledo to people in Miami? And no, it's not in Iowa, does count.
Well, sometimes the location, you'd laugh what state a lot of people think we're in or think we were in, but I think just the weather, they don't understand that.
Hmm.
People down here, they laugh at me because at first when hurricanes started forming around us and we're so many days out, I wasn't used to that. I'm used to tornadoes. I'm
Yeah.
not used to hurricanes. And we've been very fortunate that we haven't had one hit here since I've lived here. But, I think that they laugh at me about that. I laugh at them about, they're not used to the cold weather and the snow and how
Hmm.
we were able to live in that.
Yep. Who's the most famous celebrity you spotted courtside in Miami? And did you play it out cool or did you totally fan out in your head?
Well, I'd say Asia Wilson came to our game
Yeah.
and talked to our players, and um, I had met her in the gym prior, so I think the thing that impressed me was just how down to earth she is, and so hospitable with our players and kind and generous with her time.
Let's say it's you versus Miami's quarterback Carson Beck in a game of horse. Who wins and what's your signature shot?
Well, I hope I win, and I'd say I'd take him out to the 3-point line.
That's nice. So now let's do your best Purdue team as a player plays
Mhm.
your current Miami team. What
Hmm.
happens and how are you stopping yourself?
That's a tough one. You got to keep in mind, I played with two All-Americans.
Mm,
And so that's a tough matchup. But I will say I like what I see with our team. And I think this team has the trajectory to really conquer some goals that we've set that are pretty lofty. And so, again, but I will say I really admire the team that I played with and the people that I played with.
yeah. And now let's flash back to the early 90s when you're playing. Who's your NIL sponsor? Aquanet, Blockbuster, MTV, and feel free to justify your pick.
I went through my fair share of Aquanet, so it's probably Aquanet.
What's the most Miami thing you've done so far? Wear some sunglasses indoors, said this humidity builds character. What was it?
Um, that's a good one. I think most Miami thing I've done is go eat Cuban food.
Oh yeah.
Everybody here loves it, and I will say I love empanadas now. I don't think I'd ever tasted an empanada before I came down here, but I love Cuban food, and I'm starting to try to learn Spanish.
All right. Now let's say if and when the Hurricanes win the ACC, what's the celebration? A team beach day, a Pitbull concert, or maybe you riding on a jet ski yelling "Go Canes"?
Probably all of the above. I would love to see that happen, and we're going to
Uh,
work our tails off to try to make it happen.
yeah. Yeah. And the final question is, what are you doing on any given Monday?
Well, if you're talking about ACC play, Monday's our off day, but that doesn't mean we're off. That means I'm watching game film, getting ready for practice on Tuesday. It might involve sitting at the pool or going to the beach, though, because I do enjoy that.
Hmm.
It means I've got my laptop with me and I'm breaking down film. Um, but we use that as a prep day to get ready for what's next. So it's watching the scouting report of the next team that we're going to play. It's planning the practice and getting organized with my staff. And it might even mean going recruiting because a lot of times on our off days is when my staff is out recruiting.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you. Thank you. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
thanks for having me on.